You are watching WP TV.
Welcome back to the desk. March Madness is upon us, and the Sweet 16 is in full swing. Now, guys, the #1 seed Kansas had a big win, one of the biggest wins we've seen in Sweet 16 history. What is up with this team? They're clicking really well. What do you see from them?
I see Frank Mason really facilitating that offense. He's dishing out 5 assists per game, 20 points a game. He's playing 36 minutes out of the 40, so he's playing a lot. He's putting the team on his back, guys.
Yeah, they shot 54% from three-point land in that game. Frank Mason, as Steve said, 26, 7 and 7, 9 of 11 shooting. They had bench play, and just watching the other game too, Oregon barely advanced against Michigan. Michigan couldn't score. I think Kansas, they're firing on all cylinders. See you in Phoenix. It's going to be easy for them.
I'm going to disagree with you, Dante. I think that the road to the Final Four doesn't get too easy in this next game up against Oregon. If you take a look at the bracket, right now, their next matchup against the Ducks, who have beaten a Michigan team who was rolling after the Big Ten tournament. Kansas, though, I think has the advantage. They come into this after last night. They'll go to the next game averaging 96 points per game in the tournament, which is probably one of the highest scoring offenses I've seen in recent years. But, Chris, you said it best. I'm at a loss for words at how good this team is. But, yeah, it's tough to disagree with Kansas going to the Final Four.
Kansas is fantastic. The thing about them is that all their players always step up. Graham and Mason both had 26 apiece, and then the top 3 prospect, Josh Jackson, had 15 and 12. And with Oregon, Dylan Brooks and Tyler Dorsey are the real deal. But the problem is their last 2 games, they're fighting from behind. They're making it way closer than it needs to be. You can't do that against a team like Kansas.
And with a guy like Jordan Bell on your team, if you're Oregon, that guy has been clutch all throughout the tournament, comes into the season averaging 11 and 8, but he's had some huge buckets down the stretch of these games.
Now, Kansas had a big win. They were basically the favorites. One team that wasn't the favorite, and some are calling them an underdog, is number 11 Xavier, who actually went in and beat number 2 Arizona. We'll take a look at the game. What have you seen from this team? How did they pull off this so-called upset, if it even is one?
Yeah, I mean, number 11 Xavier, I thought they were a little bit misranked, but they come into the tournament playing strong, fundamentally sound basketball. They play defense. They move the ball well. They just honestly make winning plays, and I think it really comes down to their their leading scorer, their leader, Trayvon Blewett, 18.7 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, And last night against Arizona, he had 25 in the ball game. The guy's a leader, and they have great coaching as well. Chris Mack has his team clicking on all cylinders. Xavier, fellas, the sky's the limit with this team.
You know, they might be number 11. Some people might not think they're an underdog, but look at this. Last time a double-digit loss team, which Xavier was in regular season, won a national championship was in 1988, and that was Kansas, led by Larry Brown. At the time, they had Danny Manning having 25 points a game in the season. They would beat Oklahoma 83-79 in that national championship in 1988. What do you know, Xavier? You got Trevor Blewett averaging 25 a game in the tournament. It might be a reach, but, I mean, they're already on their way to the Elite Eight. It's going to be really interesting watching this team.
I don't know. I felt like it was kind of an upset. They came into the tournament limping, and last night Arizona just completely died. They had no points in the last 2 minutes, 45 seconds of that game. Now, credit to Xavier. They played a hell of a game, but Gonzaga, I watched them against West Virginia. They played very well. I didn't think they could beat West Virginia in that press, but they contained West Virginia's guards. They controlled the tempo. It's going to be tough for Xavier, but give them credit to get to the Elite Eight as an 11 seed.
Yeah, I definitely think, I don't know if it would be really an upset. I think they were definitely misranked, but what they need to be able to move to that Final Four is shot blocking. Their leading shot blocker is their guard, Edmund Sumner, who is averaging 0.8 blocks per game, guys. So I think to be a very good team going into the Final Four, you need shot blocking, and they're lacking that right now.
You also can't count out a Bill Murray team. Bill Murray's a Xavier fan. His Cubs won the World Series, and now Xavier, the Musketeers, making a run. So if Bill Murray roots for a team, put some money on him.
All right, now later today we have the East region. We'll find out who's going to be moving on to the Elite Eight there. Who do you see moving on? Who do you see losing possibly in these games?
I definitely got South Carolina, the very big underdog in this East region. We got Zendarius Thornwell. He's averaging 21 points per game going into the tournament. And right now you see that they're going to be facing a very hard team in Baylor. They've been playing very well, but I think for South Carolina, P.J. Dozier and their bench is going to be really key for them going into that game.
I like Wisconsin. They're an 8 seed, but they shouldn't be. They're very underseeded. 4 players on this team have national championship experience. They riding a wave of momentum after beating number 1 Nova. And just watching that game against Nova, their calling card, they were just blowing by defenders. They were getting easy buckets, good ball movement. I think they could definitely beat Florida and then Baylor or South Carolina, they have the advantage.
Now we'll switch over to possibly the most talented bracket, the Southern Regional. Now, where do you guys see what teams moving on, what teams falling off? This is a very stacked area.
I mean, take your pick, really, whether or not you have UNC, Kentucky, or UCLA. Even Butler. Butler's a team like Xavier who just plays fundamentally sound basketball. They are a great team, very, very sound, both ends of the floor. But I think the winner of the Kentucky-UCLA game is going to determine who goes to the Final Four and who goes to the finals. Personally, I had Kentucky going to the finals to play Arizona, swing and a miss, picking it back up. I have Kentucky going up against Kansas. I just think I take the program. I don't think UCLA has been here. They've got young players. Kentucky is coached by John Calipari, who's been in this situation time and time again. So I like my chances with Kentucky.
I am all in on the UCLA hype train. Lonzo Ball is the best prospect in the draft. Don't come at me with the Markelle Fultz stuff. It's all about Lonzo. The UCLA program has 6 players on the team averaging 10 or more points per game. And, of course, Lonzo leading the way, 16 points a game, 7-7. He is the real deal, and I think they got a good chance of going all the way.
All right, to bring us up to speed with what's going on outside of the tournament, we turn to our correspondent, Chris Douglas.
Duke's Jason Tatum has officially declared for the NBA draft. The freshman Blue Devil averaged nearly 17 points and 7 rebounds in his lone season. Tatum is projected to go in the top 5, along with big names like Lonzo Ball and Markelle Fultz. Ball and Fultz are both undoubtedly the 2 top prospects in the NCAA. Fultz at Washington put up 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, and he's looking like a can't-miss prospect. Lonzo Ball's season might be overshadowed by his outspoken father, but the numbers speak volume. Ball has put up 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 7.6 assists, while leading his team into a deep playoff run. March Madness is enough to get the blood pumping on its own, but with the amount of talent in this year's draft, the madness will pick up right back in late June when these guys have their name called by Commissioner Adam Silver.
Thanks, Chris. Stay tuned, because up next we hit the ice with the hockey crew.